Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim Welsh. I'm here today with Payroll for Construction to talk about how we can simplify your construction payroll today. I want to remind everybody that today is a listen-only broadcast, so unfortunately, you won't be able to talk and interact with me as I go here, but everybody can feel free to type in questions as I go along. Some of them I may answer towards the end, but, either way, I'll make sure any questions anyone has today gets answered before we're done with the webinar. Okay, so I'll pop all my credentials, my information up here towards the end. That way, if anybody has questions after this, wants a quote or a more personalized one-on-one demonstration, we can do that. These are tough. We have people from all over the country where basically we don't have all the info on you, who's here today. So, this will give you a good high-level overview of what we do here at Payroll for Construction and how we can hopefully help. We do always encourage and are always happy to do live one-on-one demonstrations where you can talk and interact with us as we move along. So we'll start with just a brief intro on kind of who we are here at Payroll for Construction. So we are a standalone payroll service for contractors. So similar to ADP Paychecks, there's tons of them out there. Where we become different is we process payroll in all 50 states, and we only focus on construction. Even more specific to that, most of our contractors here are union or government, prevailing wage, they're dealing with multi-state, so whether you're in one state or you have employees that roam and travel to different states, we can help and process payroll, pay employees and taxes in all 50 states. Now, we'll get into the reporting here towards the end, but, what we find with construction is that, hey, once your employees are paid and taxes are paid, that's kind of step one in this type of payroll, or let's call it step two. Step one would be collecting your time, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But there's step three is the compliance reporting, job costing, certified, EEO, union stuff. Those are the things that really we see bogging contractors down even after their quote unquote payroll has been processed. So where we become very unique, and you'll see this here in a few minutes when I actually kind of exit the PowerPoint and jump into what the platform looks like, it's not even going to be branded Payroll for Construction. Our parent company, Foundation Software, is a full job cost accounting ERP system. Nobody jump off the call. You don't have to use our accounting ERP system. We'll talk about how we integrate with QuickBooks, Sage, other different softwares out there. But I got to make mention of it, especially even if we do a one-on-one demo, because when I go to the online software that powers our service, you will see that cross-branding of Foundation Software. Okay. Now, things kind of I've went over here. I like to not spend too much time on the PowerPoint. They're boring, and jump right into kind of the online software here. But helping with all the calculations, whether your employees are working across multiple states, multiple jobs, earning multiple rates, whether they're crossing into different union territories, or again, they're going from private to public jobs. If you're a non-union contractor and you already pay certain benefits, we can actually reduce the fringe, if applicable, to make sure that, you're getting credit for that stuff. Somebody just asked, will we get a copy of the slides? You should. Everybody at the end of this will actually get a link to this webinar. I'm not sure if you'll get a copy of the slides, but if you do want them, anybody after this webinar, I'll pop my email info up. And if you want it sooner rather than later, you want a quote sooner rather than later, just let me know. And what I'll end up doing is I'll go ahead and shoot you over whatever you need. So no problems there. Okay. Certified payroll, we're really going to dive into this because it's more of a generic term these days, right? Everybody looks at that U.S. Department of Labor, WH-347 as they call it, and many, many years ago, that would suffice. But now, depending on where you're at, many states, many cities, many agencies have different formats. You get to New York and, there's so many different formats there. You go to California and many other states, hey, they're not just paper. You got to go to websites these days, which means I got to do my payroll effectively, or in essence, twice. I got to basically put it into my payroll system, take that data, go log into a website to hand key that in, and it's just time consuming and leaves a lot of room for error. So with us, we'll even get into not just this generic format, but how we can upload DIR, LCP, EMARS, and many others out there. Some people require this, some don't. Some jobs do, some don't. But, monthly manning, EEO, minority compliance reporting. We'll touch on all these reports here in just a few minutes. Big thing I'll highlight here is burden cost. A lot of payroll services say that they understand job costing. Well, many don't. Even if they do, what they commonly forget is, hey, if I have an employee who makes $25 an hour and they work 10 hours on job one this week, okay, simple math, $250 to job one. It's only a part of the picture. Here at Payroll for Construction, we're incorporating FICA, FUTA, SUTA. Workers' compensation is a cost to you. If you're matching 401k, union fringes, all that, when we get into the back end reporting, will be very visible and again can push to different accounting systems. The basics of payroll processing usually gets forgotten about because that's not what makes us different, but I ensure everybody that I talk to, the same things you get from your ADP paychecks, the checks, direct deposits, the taxes, quarterlies, W-2s, Affordable Care Act stuff, we will absolutely handle all that for you as well. Things, again, integrating this with accounting programs is key. We don't want to void or gap in data back in your accounting system. We only focus on construction. If you've ever had a bad experience with a software vendor, a payroll service provider, you name it, and you just feel they don't understand what you're saying or how your payroll needs to function, that doesn't happen with us because, again, we stay in our space, union, government, prevailing wage, multi-state payroll. Therefore, any one of our hundreds of employees can help you when you do need help because, hey, this is construction payroll. No matter how perfect the system you use is or how perfect you are as the end user, there are elements we can't control, neither you or us. Employees, accurate time, contractors, people passing you along just accurate information in a timely fashion doesn't always happen in this industry. So we're here to help. As far as time goes, we won't, no pun intended, have the time today to go through the couple different mobile app options we have, but we integrate with many ones where they can export the time and we can import it. We have a couple different mobile app options ourselves. And then you can access us from any computer with internet. And we also actually have anywhere from just where employees can view their stubs online, not touch anything, but more of a see or view environment. We also earlier this year released, which I will briefly touch on, an HR piece where, anywhere from if you want to do onboarding, great, we have that. If you want your employees to be a little bit more interactive than just seeing their pay stubs, but be able to change their 401k contribution, be able to change their address or bank account and stuff like that, those are things that we have options for as well. And the beauty is every product we have is geared towards you folks. Construction, we know sometimes there's a little bit of struggle with technology, especially when you start talking about putting it in the hands of field employees. So all of our apps are designed for everything you guys do. Okay, I'll pop this up here at the end so everybody, again, can grab any information they need here to contact me. But now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and leave the PowerPoint and jump into what I had mentioned before. So as you can see, upper right-hand corner, there's no hiding it. We are powered by our parent company, Foundation. But again, nobody needs to buy our accounting system. We can integrate with QuickBooks and many others. So this is when I do one-on-one demos, what we really spend our time on, because this is going to be what makes it or breaks it for you. So I'll start here in payroll maintenance. So as you can see, there's dedicated language here. I don't have to, whether I'm union or prevailing wage, store 10 or 15 different rates or benefit packages in here. Everybody has either a private rate or what we call a home union in their record. But we can override that at any time by placing a prevailing wage table or a different union jurisdiction rate and fringe table on the actual job record, which we'll do here in just a second. Now, in here, you're just going to see a bunch of my sample data, but whether you're union or you're non-union, we don't pretend to know every rate and every fringe for every class across the country, be it union or non. We do rely on our clients to pass us that information, that we help get that set up in here so that they can keep moving. So if I'm a union contractor I would have my classes, I would have their rates. If I had 25 journeyman electrician and I updated this today, well, I've updated all 25. So for union, the only time in their record you really need a rate is if you pay somebody above scale. If I have 2 employees, I want to pay $2 above scale. As long as their employee record said $37, they would be good to go and until rates changed again. So updating the masses is one key part for union. The other key part here is the effective date. In a perfect world, they would reach out to each and every one of you and ask you when the best day and time to change this is. Real world, they're just going to tell you April, May, June, July 1st, whatever it is. So even if we found out or you found out today and passed it along to us that these rates were going to change on April 1st, we could put changes in today. It's not going to interrupt the next, 6, 7, 8 months of payroll. But as soon as April 1st hits and time gets coded to that, it'll change it. And even if Monday and Tuesday are the 30th and 31st of March, what'll happen is it'll use the old rates Monday, Tuesday, new rates Wednesday, moving forward, and then it'll timestamp that. Visibility is huge with this payroll to employees, to unions, to government, state agencies. So it is one of those things that it will timestamp that on all your reports and the employee's paycheck so that they know. Now, if you're a non-union contractor, similar concept, but maybe you have, different classes that they could work across in one jurisdiction or on one job. We'll put the pay rates here. We do separate out the fringe rate, even for non-union, even if you're going to pay it in their paycheck, because usually the fringe stays straight. So, we don't want to take 40 and 20 and call it 60, because if they work overtime, that's going to convert to 90. So we can put the 40 here, which would turn to 60 on overtime. And then on the back end, it adds the 20 back in. So it still pays the fringe, but doesn't kick it into overtime unless your specific agreement or your specific union requires that. Then we can handle it either which way as well. That's where over here, again, just a little different here without knowing who is union versus non-union. But union, we set up the deductions, the fringes, custom label what they're called. Hours worked means it's not going to kick into that 1.5 times overtime. It's just going to stay straight, but still pay it. Whereas if I flip that to hours paid, it would kick that benefit into overtime. How they're taxed, after, before, non-taxable. If you have any of these in and out pay, we handle that and fully understand that. If there's any limits, and then we can roll this stuff over at the same time we roll the rates. Whereas if you're a non-union contractor, it could just be a fringe that's taxable going to their paycheck. Or if you do put it into some type of benefit plan, we can do that as well, and then it would be considered non-taxable. So we can handle that. We can reduce that as well. Workers' comp, we do not pay. We do not pay union workers' comp or really any insurance or benefits. So 401k, health, union workers' comp, we are, of course, setting it up. It is a part of job costing. We are tracking it, providing detailed reports for audit payment purposes. And then employees, for today, I skipped the records. There's nothing earth-shattering here one way or the other. But this is where, again, I could come in here and I could put in an employee's information. Or if I wanted to, this would be kind of the onboarding platform where I can go to new hires and I can create an employee, put in very basic information, then send it off to employee. And then what I can basically do here is that employee would then start filling out their documents. And then you would be able to see all of the information that they filled in, what you need to still sign off on, and then you'd be assigning basic payroll information, pay type, hourly or salary, earn type, how often or frequently they get paid, what their pay rate or salary is, and then I can assign vacation. And eventually, when I hit save, they are into the system. They can also do PTO requests through here. You can share documentation with certain groups of employees. You can also request or have employees share documentation with you as well. So if I go to my guy, Anthony Green here, I'm on his account, which I could access in here, or I could access right here as well. But this is where if I go to any documents he shared with us, I can get copies of his documents he or she filled out to start, or I can see, hey, I can recall up a copy of his driver's license. Coming soon will be certification management and expiration and stuff like that, where I can actually have something pop up or alert me and the employee, let's call it 30 days before their driver's license is going to expire. I don't have to do that for everybody, of course. Maybe if we have folks that don't drive our vehicles and it's their responsibility to kind of keep up with that, we don't have to request driver's license from everybody. So this is kind of a la carte, pick and choose what you want to share, what you want from them. And then you can even here in the coming month have them sign off on some of these documents as well. So this will just continue to evolve into a much more higher level HRIS system. But for today, PTO requests and approvals, document storage, new hires, and then on the employee facing side, if I flip over as admin to kind of my portal, what will end up happening here is they'll be able to go see their pay history and stuff and documents you shared as well. Okay, now the name of the game here is really jobs, time, and reports. So for jobs, this will look intimidating. You will not be using us for full accounting, at least in this case. So with that being said, you don't have to fill all this in. However, what we do need is customer A, job 123, so that we can tie either the job name or number back to QuickBooks as long as one of these match here. If I am doing multi-state work, I can attach the state that the job's into the record, so it picks that up when time gets coded. If I need certified payroll, I can check that box. If I need to put a union override or I need to attach a prevailing wage rate and fringe table, I can do that. So what we're doing is basically taking that legwork out each week as employee A goes from job 1 to 2 to 3 or work class A to B to C. It's all set up on the job, because what's not going to happen is that job is not going to pick up and move and leave those areas. The employee will for sure, but not the job. So very simplistic job setup so that now time can be imported or used in our mobile app or entered in here, where you could simply come in here and if you wanted to just enter a time card, pick from a list of your employees, and then simply pick the job they were on, the hours. They bounce jobs, no big deal. I'm in a non-union example here, but you'll see in a second. And then once I hit OK, watch the rate, watch the union, watch the tax column. It's just going to know if it's in a city with taxes or a different state. If it was non-prevailing wage, grabbing the private rate that is in Rick's record. Whereas as they go from prevailing wage county or jurisdiction 1 versus 3, it's going to grab those correct rates, fringes, everything. And then if my guys or gals do jump classes, I could change that. It'll get rid of the rate that was pulled in for an electrician, pulling the rate for a labor. And then it can automate after 8 in a day or 40 in a week overtime. And you can even do such things as like reimbursable expenses, bonuses, you name it. So many different ways to get us your time. Just don't leave today thinking, this is the only way to do it. That doesn't work for me. Nope. We could talk to you about many other options here to get the time in a much more efficient, automated fashion. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I can check the time before I send it off. I can look at both hours and dollars before I submit. So this is where I can come in and say, all right, per employee, the days, the jobs, the regular, the overtime, the rates, everything that I just entered or that was imported in via one of our apps or a different app, doesn't mean because you import time in or push it over via our app that it's finalized. You still get to put eyes and hands on it and make edits and changes by drilling into any of these blue icons here. And then if I wanted to run the same report by job, I can do that as well. So a few clicks. Every one of our reports has a criteria page that can be a little intimidating to start, but always become our clients' best friends because it's what allows them to say, hey, I want to see a lot of data, I want to see a little data, or I want to see it by employee, or I want to see it by job. So all those options can be changed and saved on your end at any time. Okay. Oh, also, Every report can be printed, PDF, Word, Excel, CSV. Also, I can look at the dollars before I submit. So if I want to just see what paychecks or my tax liability is going to look like, I can. I don't have to, add all this up. Just like any service, once payroll's in and reviewed to your best ability, once you click submit, we're basically giving you a report that says, here's what we're going to pull from you to fund the payroll. So we give you that, so there's no guessing, no surprises. We pull the money, we pay the employees, we pay the taxes. And then again, we can kick back to QuickBooks, Sage, other accounting systems. Different bits of information can be unique to each client, and depending what software they're using. And then your reports would all be here, and we would start getting the reports you want in a nice little flow chart, quick links menu, where then you can come, instead of navigating through the back end of the system, you would be able to see your flow chart here and go down the line. So if I go to workers' comp, I can run more of a condensed class total report for whatever date I want. I got my hours, my earnings, my exposure, my rate, my premium, my totals. Then when I look at this, if there are discrepancies between gross earnings and what people call sometimes the cap, the limit, earnings exposure we call it, and I need more detail, again, back to the criteria where I can really change the landscape of the report at any time. And now I can get more detail like, hey, well, we don't have to pay on the 0.5 calc of overtime, just the straight portion, similar to the fringe stuff. We'll set all this stuff up for you accordingly. So we like to see the policy, make sure it's all set up correctly. If you need any of the EEO, monthly manning, minority compliance reporting, as you can see, even when I go to certified, we don't just have one generic report, because one generic report doesn't work, especially when you're talking, we do this in all 50 states. So I'll show the most common one. We won't have time to go through every report here today, but again, after this, anybody wants to connect for more of a one-on-one demo, be happy to do so. So this here, just a report covering all my different race, ethnicities, male versus female, and my construction trade and the class within the trade to send off. Print, sign, send. All kinds of earning statements, 401k reporting we'll skip over for today, but this is where certified payroll, again, I won't click on all these, but just taking you through where you can see any of this stuff. We do it the city level, the state level, the Fed level, all of that stuff is going to be in here. And then this is where I come in, I hit print, sign, send, PDF if I need, and then I just have all my jobs, no work performed, or if somebody was on it, it will show the data for the folks on the job for that week. It'll also give me my, kind of signature page as well, where all I got to do is sign that right there. Okay, certified payroll electronic, again, this is where things are heading. We're seeing this pop up more and more, where again, that piece of paper, even if you're getting it, all it's doing is giving you, 50% of the work. The data's where it needs to be. You don't need to go break it out, but I got to go to one of these websites and hand key it in. With us, that's not the case. All of this is being done right in here. We don't use a third-party bolt-on for certifieds like a lot of our competitors do. So this is where I can come in here and say, all right, I need to upload to LCP Tracker. I hit report. Doesn't look very clean, but that's because the data is laid out to when you close it. Create file now, you hit yes, and then basically you can upload that data right to them. And then a couple last ones. Burden job summary. This one does a good job of not just showing your job costs, not just showing per employee, but my guy Rick here on private work makes $15 an hour. So 40 times 15 equals 600. When I add everything else in here, it lets me know Rick's true to the penny cost is $18.41. As I start sliding down here and here, same employee, same date range, that change is triggered because these are my two prevailing wage jobs here. Okay, last thing, if you are a union contractor, you can also get a union report. These ones you may have to kick to Excel or transfer some data onto their forms. Each union is unique. We don't have every union form exactly the way it is in here, but we can custom build union files, union reports, stuff like that. If it makes your life easier, instead of you taking this data and copy and pasting it, we have many times, though we don't need many custom reports because the system is just so jam-packed with many different ones, but there are times when, hey, if you can send them a file, the 401k or to this, that, or the other, it may need to be laid out a particular way, and we can set that up for you as well. Last thing is support. Easy to reach us, family ran. You can come in here, you can log a call, you can pick up the phone. Every time you call us, you will talk to a live receptionist who works directly for us, and then they'll pass you over to a support rep. So we are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. That's Eastern time. So even our West Coast clients or Central or Mountain time, that is, even if you're all the way on the West, that's 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific. So we're always here to help because, again, no matter how perfect the payroll system is or how perfect you guys are, there will be corrections. I wish I had a product that I could sell you that, hey, no more payroll mistakes ever again. Unfortunately, we're just in the wrong industry for that. But we can make life much easier with the way our system works and cut back on some of the mistakes that are just because of how repetitive the payroll is and how many times you have to enter things or if you have to manually change a bunch of stuff. Those are the mistakes we can really cut back on, saving time and money for the contractor. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up here for questions. Like to keep these to about 30 minutes. We're about 27 in, so I will pop this up so that anybody can reach me. Again, even if you're just like, Jim, I want a quote or I want a demo, we're very easy to work with. We do not hound you, but anything you guys need from here, I'll be here to help. I have an associate, Alex, who handles some of the states. So you reach out to me, and if I realize you're in one of the states, I'll just loop him in, and you'll be in great hands with Alex as well. So if anybody wants to type in any questions at this point, I would be happy to answer them. Okay, somebody's asking about termination checks, which is a great question. So even though we're your payroll service, we want to be the ones paying employees and taxes. We know there are going to be instances, union especially, hey, I terminated this employee, even non-union a lot of times. Hey, let's just get them a check. We don't want him or her coming back. So you could, because this is the beauty, is being powered by parts of an accounting system where some people run their payroll right in-house through us, that's where you'll have the ability to print a check or create an ACH file to shoot to your bank when you got to do something at the drop of a hat. You don't have time to wait on us. So those things that if you're doing payroll in-house, you're used to being able to do, we don't want to remove you too far from your payroll because there are just so many things it affects that you got to be able to grab that. So if you've had experience with a payroll service where, well, hey, to do anything, I got to contact them first. No, not with us. Meaning, sure, you can contact us. You need help, you have a question, you need something corrected, but I need to do a pay increase for an employee. I got to do a termination layoff check. Any of that stuff, you can freewillingly do at any point in time. Somebody says, can you do multiple companies or do you have to file for each one? So, I mean, and this may not be the answer to your question, so feel free to type in again if I mess this up here. So we can handle multiple companies, and you can just bounce in here between companies. So I can change company and switch over. I could have them both pulled up on dual screens. So we could handle multiple companies, but they would have their own database. For every company that has an FEIN, they don't all go into one database because then the taxes get messed up. Now, if you're like, well, hey, I have 3 companies, Jim, but one only really fits what you guys do here. The other 2 are very basic. I have companies that keep those in-house or keep them with a more traditional provider and bring the more complex one to us. So you really can do it anyway, just knowing that, hey, if I have 3 FEINs and I want payroll for construction to handle all 3, I'm changing company to company or database to database. So it's real quick and easy. Or if I just do this real quick and bounce over, it'll just go away for a second and then it'll end up popping back up. And now I'm in that other company's database. But again, I could have all 3 pulled up at one time as well and be dropping and picking up or putting them on multiple screens. Any other questions or anything else for today? Let me pop this back up again real quick. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate everybody's time here today. Hopefully, this looks like it might work for some of you. If it does, again, reach out to us. Be happy to help here. Or if any questions come up after this that you think of, feel free to reach out to me. Again, you'll get a link to this. So if you got busy during this, as can happen, feel free to revisit the link or reach out for a one-on-one personalized demonstration. Again, thank you, everybody, and everybody have a great day.